Maybe you start a routine with good intentions, and for a few days it works. You get up a little earlier. You go for a walk. You tidy up. You eat a little better. You make the morning feel calmer, and then one bad night of sleep, one busy morning, or just one low-energy day throws everything off. After 50, that can feel incredibly discouraging, especially when you remember a time when you used to bounce back so much more easily. So why does it feel harder to stay consistent now, even when you know the routine would probably help you? You plan to walk, tidy up, eat better, or make the day feel more settled. And then somehow the day just slips away. This does not mean you're lazy, and it is not a failure of discipline. Often it is because your energy, your focus, and your tolerance for pressure has changed. If this has been happening to you, you are not the only one. A lot of people notice that after 50, that routines do not feel as automatic as they once did. Even routines that used to help can become harder to start, harder to keep, and easier to return to after a difficult day. And that can be frustrating, because from the outside, a routine sounds simple. Go for a walk, eat breakfast at the same time, stretch for 10 minutes, go to bed earlier. But inside, it can feel like you are pushing against something invisible. The first thing to understand is this: it's not because you are becoming lazy. You may simply be trying to live with a different kind of energy, a different kind of mental load, and a different season of life. Earlier in life, routine is often held together by pressure. There are jobs to get to, children to care for, deadlines to meet, people depending on you, and places you have to be. So much of your routine may not have come from motivation. It came from necessity. You kept going because life gave you a structure. But after 50, that outside structure often begins to change. Children may be grown up. Work may feel different. Retirement might be approaching or already here. Your sleep may be lighter. Your stress tolerance may be lower. And your mind might want more space and less rushing. So when someone says, just build a routine, it can sound too simple. Because the problem is not only the routine. The problem is that the old way of keeping yourself moving may no longer fit. For many years, you may have pushed through tiredness, ignored small aches, kept a mental list running all day, and told yourself, I'll rest later. And maybe that worked for a long time. But after 50, your mind and body may become less willing to cooperate with constant pressure. That does not mean you're getting weaker. It could mean your system is asking for a kinder way to live. This is where many people start blaming themselves. They think, I used to be more disciplined. I used to be more organized. I used to get things done. What happened to me? But a better question should be, what has changed in my life, my energy, and my needs? Because when those things change, your routines need to change with them. One reason routines become harder after 50 is that the rewards can feel different. When you were younger, routines often supported building a career, building a home, raising a family, getting somewhere, proving yourself. There was usually a clear reason to keep going. But after 50, many people quietly ask, what am I doing all this for now? A routine without meaning can start to feel like just another chore. You may still know what you should do, but should is not always enough anymore. At this stage of life, routines often need to feel connected to peace, health, dignity, independence, comfort, or purpose. Not pressure, not perfection, not proving anything. Just a calmer way to take care of yourself. Another thing that makes routines harder is mental clutter. By the time you reach this stage of life, you may be carrying worries about health, money, family, aging parents, adult children, loneliness, loss, or the future. Even when nothing dramatic is happening, your mind may be busier than it looks. And a busy mind finds it harder to begin simple things. That is why you can look at a small task and feel overwhelmed. Not because the task is huge, but because your mind is already full. When your head is crowded, even a small routine can feel like one more demand. This is also why inconsistency can become a cycle. You miss one morning walk, then you feel disappointed. Then the disappointment makes it harder to restart. Then 3 days pass, and now the routine no longer feels like something you do. It feels like something you failed at. Once a routine becomes tied to shame, your mind starts avoiding it. Not because you do not care, but because nobody wants to return to something that makes them feel bad about themselves. So one of the kindest and most useful things you can do is remove the shame from restarting. Restarting is not failure. Restarting is part of the routine. What often makes routines worse is trying to make them too big. You decide you are going to change everything. Wake up earlier. Exercise every day. Eat perfectly. Clear every cupboard. Sleep better. Worry less. It sounds hopeful for about a day. Then it becomes heavy. And when a routine feels heavy, your mind begins to resist it. What helps is making the routine smaller than your pride wants it to be. Because small routines are not childish. They are stable. They give your mind less to argue with. Instead of saying, I need to get my whole life back on track, choose one anchor. One small action that tells your day, we have begun. It might be opening the curtains and making the bed. It might be drinking a glass of water before coffee. It might be walking for 5 minutes, not 30. It might be writing down the 3 things that matter today. The point is not to impress anyone. The point is to create a gentle starting line. After 50, routines often work better when they are built around anchors, not ambition. An anchor is something simple you return to. It steadies you. It does not ask too much. The second thing that helps is attaching a routine to something you already do. For example, after I make my morning drink, I step outside for 2 minutes. After I brush my teeth, I stretch my shoulders. After lunch, I take a short walk. After dinner, I write down tomorrow's first task. This works because you are not asking your mind to create a whole new structure from nothing. You are gently linking one helpful action to something that already exists. The third thing that helps is planning for imperfect days, because there will be days when you sleep badly, days when your body feels stiff, days when your mood is low, days when family needs you, days when your mind feels foggy. A good routine leaves room for being human. So instead of having one version of your routine, have 2. A full version and a gentle version. The full version might be a 30-minute walk. The gentle version might be 5 minutes outside. The full version might be tidying a whole room. The gentle version might be clearing one chair. This keeps you connected to the routine, even when life is not ideal. And that connection matters more than perfection. Because the real goal of routine after 50 is not to control every hour of the day. It is to give yourself a rhythm that helps you feel steadier, a rhythm that protects your energy, a rhythm that lowers the number of decisions you have to make, a rhythm that reminds you, I still know how to care for myself. So if routines feel harder now, please don't turn that into a character flaw. It might just simply mean the old way no longer fits. You may need less pressure and more kindness, less all-or-nothing thinking and more small returns, less forcing and more listening. Life after 50 often asks for a different kind of discipline, not the harsh kind that pushes you through everything, but the quiet kind that says, let's make this easier to come back to. You are not broken because you need a gentler routine. You are not failing because your energy has changed. You are simply learning how to build steadiness around the person you are now. Starting again is allowed. Starting small is allowed. Changing the routine to fit your life now is allowed. And sometimes that is exactly where steadiness begins. If this has helped you feel a little less alone, why not subscribe to Well After 50? This is a place for calm, practical guidance for understanding what is changing, why it may be happening, and what can help you feel clearer and steadier again.